Percy and Toby were worried. Thomas's recent accident had caused a great deal of trouble, and the Fat Controller was waiting for them with important news. Here, he said, is Daisy, the diesel railcar.
Okay, so this is new, for sure. Yes, this isn't the first time we, the audience, have seen a diesel on the island of Sodor, but Daisy is certainly the first female engine to be displayed on the show. Top Hat introduced her and made sure Toby and Percy knew they must treat her with respect, since she was a guest, of course. The engines were a bit worried, though.
Will she go, sir, when Thomas comes back, sir? That depends, said the Fat Controller. Meanwhile, I hope you will both make her welcome and comfortable. Yes, sir, we'll try, sir, said the engines.
Well, at least they're trying. I'm sure if Daisy is cooperative, things will go well. She was nothing like Diesel, visually, who visited Tidmouth Sheds back in Pop Goes the Diesel. She was a mobile coach that could run all on her own and was designed for optimal luxury. It's because of that intent as to why she was not a dark color tone like Diesel. Her musical theme was also different from anyone else's. Man, what an attractive cue she has. It still sounds like it belongs to a Diesel because of how smooth it cruises through its chords, but it does not sound slick like Diesel's, as if it was tricky. The tone it creates evokes upper class and fancy feelings, like Daisy's on the high end of things. But was her attitude any different since she was still a Diesel? No. She couldn't hold her tongue about how wretched the engine shed looked to her. She claimed that anything that didn't match her liking was bad for her swerves because she was so highly sprung.
Next, they tried the carriage shed. This is better.
Quite honestly, I don't see the difference, Daisy. The carriage shed is literally right next to the shed you were just in, so I don't see how you don't smell that stink you caught a whiff of just before. And no, that wasn't a reference to any future character. What I love, though, is Toby's face when they left the engine shed. His face says to me, ugh, this freaking Diesel. Daisy wasn't even happy about being in the carriage shed with Annie, Clarabelle, and Henrietta. She thought they were garbage, which hurt their feelings quite deeply.
We won't stay here to be insulted, they fumed. Percy and Toby had to take them away and spend half the night soothing their hurt feelings. The engines woke next morning feeling exhausted.
Well, being that Toby and Percy spent most of their day tending to Daisy's needs, yeah, I can see why. Those poor guys. I'm sure they'll be happy to see Thomas when he comes back, but I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a beating as well for leaving them to handle this diesel rail car. While Toby and Percy were recovering from Daisy's demands, she haughtily rolled back to Elsbridge Station thinking she was going to take Thomas's passengers. Instead, she got a milk tank coupled to her back end.
Do they expect me to pull that? Surely, said her driver. She began to shudder violently. Nonsense, said her driver. Come on now, back down. Daisy lurched backwards. She was so cross that she blew a fuse.
This shows that even though Daisy was a different kind of diesel, she was still a diesel. Only the best of the best would suit them and nothing less. It's obvious at this point as to why diesels so far have not been welcome yet on the island of Sodor. I mean, it's good that Top Hat is being open-minded about other types of engines, but he needs to do a better job selecting the right one. But hold up. What is this? You see, this doesn't make sense at all. Is Daisy doing the shaking? If so, how? Her driver's standing on the platform. Not only that, but she lurched backward. Did I not just confirm in the last entry that engines cannot move or brake by themselves unless someone is in their cab? Daisy does not need a fireman, so unless someone is playing games, I call bullcrap. Which is also a nice foreshadow to a future Daisy story. After several exchanges back and forth between Daisy not wanting to haul anything and the passengers already being late, Daisy finally got her way. And hey, I was wrong, Mrs. Kindly was in that crowd too, although this story isn't focusing on her.
Daisy purred away, feeling very pleased with herself. She could now enjoy her journey. That's a good story, she chuckled. I'll do just what work I choose and no more. But she said it to herself.
Code red. Looks like we have ourselves a rascal. It's apparent Daisy isn't going to do anything she's told. She'd rather do what she fancies for herself. So in other words, not a team player. Oh boy. Toby and Percy are not going to have it easy, are they? And Percy should already have an idea what to expect since he was around when Diesel first arrived on Sodor and how he manipulated his friends into believing Duck was a troublemaker. I'm quite sure he's already made up his mind about her. I still laugh about Toby's face when they leave the engine shed. That's so funny. As for the character this episode is about, it's unfortunate that Daisy is just another Diesel that is further cementing the mold of how Diesels act versus steam engines. She's a high-maintenance individual and believes she's entitled to high standards. I'm not saying she shouldn't be like that, but sadly it doesn't always work that way, but she won't admit to that. As to what Top Hat saw in her and how he came to that conclusion, I don't think anyone will ever get an answer on. Hopefully he will figure out what she's been up to and set her straight, because right now, all she's done is insult Toby and Percy's home and their rolling stock. She may be the only engine with makeup on, but the charm underneath is nowhere to be found. And I'm not saying she's not a likable character, but she isn't one to be sided with at this moment. Then there's the whole fits and a half she threw when she was coupled up to the milk tanker truck. There's no reasons given, and it completely derails everything I just examined in the last entry. Yet I checked, and the lines spoken are the exact ones written in the books. She did shake violently, and she did lurch backward. But nope, I refuse. This has been defunct. This stuff just don't make sense sometimes, yo. The locations shown in this entry are very limited this time. I'm not sure if it was just to save time or money, but there really isn't a lot. Elsbridge Station, a place I really think has a nice view, is only seen one way. It's only at the very end do we get a larger backup view. If anything, we get a better look at the engine and carriage sheds. I do find it weird, though, that they were right next to one another when Daisy said it smelled, but didn't find the one that she was in later not to be. Clueless Daisy. And at the very, very end, we see the branch line bridge and that line that normally has a tracking shot to it. These were good to see, but had all of about a cameo status. The music was also shorthanded. It's great that we got another theme to add to the library. As I've said, Daisy's theme is unique in its own way and suits her well. But that's it. We get incidental music for transitions and such, but they aren't recognizable. I'm not saying they don't work either. They just aren't cues that belong to a certain thing. We'll see how Crazy Daisy works out on Sodor. Next episode is Percy's Predicament. Thanks for watching.